Okay, let's get this party started.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the OuterBelt. I'm Patrick, and you all know my friends.
Chili.
Buttermilk.
Eric. And Jerry.
And as you can tell, we're coming to you live. Not live.
Yeah, it's
We
live.
are live.
We are live.
We're
We are.
live.
We are. Oh, we're coming to you alive.
Alive.
From the OuterBelt Studios here in beautiful Columbus, Ohio. It has been. It's been a while since we've been together, hadn't it? We haven't been together.
A hot moment.
Hot moment.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm so
I
glad
enjoyed
to be
last week's. Last week's recap was wonderful,
Oh,
but
it
it
was
has been a
so-
hot moment.
It was great. I appreciate you putting that together. That was an awesome little, not tribute, but what do you call that? A synopsis?
Montage.
Retrospective.
One might call it a recap of the
A menagerie.
a menagerie.
Oh, it
a
is not a menagerie.
of the weekend. We had so much fun with all the mentors. It was
Some of them are
a
animals,
great-
I guess.
what?
Some of them are animals. Menagerie.
Okay. Well,
I'm
technically,
kidding.
we're all mammals, right?
There we go. There we go.
Yeah.
It was a great recap.
It was a really good video. Really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. Had a great group of people here. We had an awesome weekend together. Good fellowship. Great food. Oh my Lanta! Can we talk about the food for 30 seconds? And Melissa, you're up.
I have lots of leftovers still in my freezer from all of it, and it is just so phenomenal to still. Dina's amazing. Jerry, Delina's Jerry made some great Italian food as always. It just,
That lasagna brought out my inner Garfield.
Oh, right.
Oh, it just.
Agreed. Everything was just on point. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. It just
Yes.
we were spoiled. We were treated.
We truly were.
I think
Yes.
we all walked away 10 pounds heavier.
Yes. Yeah, I fasted for the following few days.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. I love having such a great group of people that I was going to say staff, but like Jerry's not staff.
He's my proxy.
Great group of friends and family and staff. So all together, I can say, hey, do you want to take dinner on Saturday for 30 people?
Yeah.
And they just go like, yeah, got it, done. Not, what would you like to have?
No.
Not, well, can we do, just done, covered, got it.
And I think the synopsis from the poll that the chicks did on their video, if you haven't watched theirs, was that the number one best thing was the food,
Yes.
followed by fellowship or hanging out with everybody. But food, everybody that the chicks polled seemed to be food was number one, and it was good. It was nice to see, and it was a little bit of everything. It between charcuteries or soup and sandwich to ice cream, it was just
Yes.
to, like you said, lasagna.
And fresh ice cream. Like everything we had.
Was homemade.
Everything we had was homemade. Everything. This was like the most farm to table event, sustainable cooking you can have.
Yeah.
It was really great. It was wonderful. We really are spoiled.
I thought that I was going above and beyond when I went out and butchered that cow to make those ground beef for those burgers.
Burgers.
I know. Well, the fact that you
Everybody
did that
cooked.
45 days ago.
Yeah. And
So that
aged
it could
them
be aged properly. Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
I don't know about the wet aging process.
Yeah.
I've always been a fan of the dry aging.
Yeah.
Well,
But
right. Well, we were making burgers, so we wanted moist.
I get that.
burgers, So
I
we
get
did
that.
The wet aging.
Well, I would love to tell you how good my burger was.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
They were gone.
We
They were
ran
gone.
out.
I didn't get one either.
I sat
I
back.
guess that says how good they were.
I sat back and I was like, I'm gonna let everybody get their food.
Sure.
And I was kind of in a conversation, so I'm like, it's fine. I'll grab whatever I want later. So I go there, I get my plate out, and I put my bun on the freshly
You
toasted
did do a
bun.
burger bun too.
Yeah.
And
He was
I
dressing it.
had my mayonnaise and my mustard,
Yep.
and I do the full, onion, lettuce, tomato, pickles. Like I am just a fully beautiful setup there.
Yeah.
And someone tapped me on the shoulder.
It
Was
was
it
me.
you?
It was
and
me.
you're like,
And you're
oh,
like, gonna put a cabal on there?
yes, just so
You
you
making
know.
a sausage sandwich?
And I'm like, what? And I look over at the meat tray, and it's like, no more burgers, but tons of sausage. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, so I.
Which those were lovely.
Oh, the
Everybody-
sausage was great.
Yes,
Oh,
Vince-
but it was a little bit of like surprise because they somehow accidentally mixed up
The spicy.
the
with
incredibly 1,000 on the Scoville scale
They weren't that
sausage
spicy.
and the regular sausage. So it
Did
was
you get a
kind of
spicy?
I got a regular. Whoo,
You like
man! But
that?
it was like playing roulette, like Russian roulette, like eeny, meeny, miny,
Yeah.
mo. I'll take that one. Looks a little less red. I'll try that one. It was delicious.
So Dina, Jerry,
It was
and
great.
Vince all did cook, and
Yeah.
it just was an amazing 3 days? Well, it was a whole week for staff.
It was a whole week for staff,
it was
but
just
3 days
good.
for the mentors.
Yeah.
Yep.
And my favorite thing was Hyfield Feud.
Oh, that was great.
That was a lot of fun.
Oh
It
my
was
gosh,
fun.
that was a lot of
Lots
fun.
It was a lot
Yeah.
of fun.
Yeah.
I mean, putting my living room back together.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah,
But it was a lot of fun.
of course you bet, because none of y'all were there for it. Appreciate it. So,
It's not fair. The girls won every time.
No, they didn't.
no.
No,
The guys win ever.
Well, the
guys-
second,
the first round,
the guys won.
the
guys
guys
won.
won.
the second,
And then the second round, the guys played staff.
yes, and the staff
Okay.
won.
No.
Staff
Staff won. We
staff won.
and
yes.
and then we almost really won, but you and I were off by like 8 points.
I know.
In the end.
I know. Oh my gosh.
So close.
Some
So-
of those answers. Now, come on, drivers. Y'all, some of y'all
Uh,
answers.
we're a little bit,
was
yeah, a
fun.
little strange.
It was fun.
Your favorite interstate to
I-40.
travel on?
I-40. It was the biggest one too.
And I'm like, have you driven 15? Have you not 15? 70?
Yeah.
From Denver to
Where it meets 15?
where it meets 15?
Yeah, in Utah.
That's a
Beautiful.
beautiful drive.
Beautiful.
Let's talk about. Let's go segment 15 from Vegas to
Oh, yeah. That little piece
St. George.
where you run through Arizona for
that
like
is-
40 minutes.
yes,
40
Arizona
miles?
No.
section on I-15 is the
15 in the Arizona section
Yes.
of the interstate only.
Yeah.
personally the prettiest spot in the entire interstate system is
It was
that.
the most shocking when
I
I was
just-
driving.
I just think it's gorgeous. Eric and I, the first time it ever happened, I drove it and I was like, "Oh my god, this is so beautiful!" I got out the end. I pulled into a parking space at a truck stop. I went back in the sleeper. I was like, get up here real quick. And so he's like, what? I'm like, just come up here real quick. So he gets up, and it's nighttime, and it's a full moon, so it's bright, but nighttime and beautiful. He jumps up the front seat. We go do it again. And then we go do it again because you have to circle back. It was just so pretty. I'm like, I can't. This is magic. This is pure magic.
Yeah.
It's by far my favorite spot of the entire interstate system. But there's up in Oregon, there's beautiful in Washington. There's
I-5?
beautiful sections.
I-80.
Gorge.
The
up there.
gorge,
The
Yeah,
gorge is beautiful.
I don't know. I-40. If you think about it,
I-40 has one spot.
no, it's got your eastern states and up through Pigeon Holler or whatever all that is.
The
there.
section that got washed away. What's
That's
that
right.
called?
I-40
it's-
through the Pigeon.
Pigeon Forge Gorge or whatever that
Yes.
is. Yeah,
So all of that is gorgeous.
it is.
And then you come out and you still have Tennessee. You got to do all of Tennessee.
Yeah, but you got Tennessee and Tennessee dot.
Still pretty. And
Mm.
then you come into Memphis, which if you're the night driver, those bridges in Memphis
are very pretty. They're lit
beautiful.
up nice. Yeah,
And then you've
The
got
Bass
a lot
Pro
of
Shop.
the Bass Pro Shop
I know.
Pyramid.
And then you got a lot of maybe
And some of
nothing.
us that have been around pre Bass Pro Shop.
Yeah.
Just saying.
And then you've got, Texas, which is nothing. Nobody loves the Panhandle. And then
Excuse me.
you've got
You-
Arizona.
no, hold on.
through
We
those
you
big
just skipped over the
mountains.
steak.
All
Do you have the
right.
place the giant steak? What's it called?
I'm
Amarillo.
saying
Amarillo,
I-40, I think,
Texan.
is one of the
Texan.
yeah,
prettiest.
the big
Texan.
Texan. You can't miss over the big Texan.
Yeah, you got Arizona and I-40.
I will
Up through
say
the hills.
what's great is if you're ever in Albuquerque. By that I mean
Amarillo?
Amarillo. If
Yes.
you're ever there by morning,
By morning. Yes.
if you actually go like just north of Amarillo, the terrain completely changes. It's hilly. It's multicolored land. It's beautiful. Like, but it's just
I-40.
you just got to get north of it. It's
I think
crazy
the
how it
reason that
changes.
was the number one answer is because it's just the most traveled.
Probably.
Yeah,
It's the
maybe.
middle
with
of
our
the.
maybe.
route,
It's the middle
especially
of.
FedEx.
Well, you have the really cool experience going through Albuquerque.
Yes.
So if you
Albuquerque.
actually do take the time to get out of the truck, the crater is
Yeah.
Oh,
awesome. Have y'all been to the crater?
No.
So
That's
Eric,
the rest area.
Eric and I did the crater. It's impressive. It's a gigantic bowl
Out in the middle of nowhere.
out in the middle of nowhere. And the weird thing is, it's a perfect bowl. It's perfect.
Wow.
You couldn't have excavated it that perfect. It is unbelievable what speed and a sudden stop will do.
So let me ask you,
Yeah, that,
what would you prefer in the bowl? Your evening soup or your morning cereal?
neither. I would take Dina's Biscoff ice cream.
Oh yeah.
Oh God, that
Yeah,
was so
that's
good.
a good call.
I had dreams about that.
That's
We,
a good call.
we still have some in the freezer.
No,
we
Eric-
may or may not have had some last night.
Eric just dumped ours.
Cannot
It
confirm
got
or
too old.
deny.
We didn't have it in a container.
Yeah, it
was
wasn't
open.
sealed, so we had to get rid of
She,
Ours is
she
melted.
told me how to make it. I told Don, you better get on it.
ours. He's like, I'm a baker, not a freezer.
I know.
Yeah.
um,
Oh,
But-
anyways, Mentor Treat was wonderful.
yes,
Oh, yes.
yeah. I-40. Let me finish.
Yes, yeah,
Then you get into Albuquerque.
yes.
That drive up the mountain into
Yes.
Albuquerque, especially in winter
Hmm.
when it's snowy,
Yeah.
is Christmas. It's the most Christmassy, beautiful. The trees still are green, and they have the little snow sit on top of them.
Too soon.
Too soon?
Too
Oh,
soon.
you're not a fan?
Too soon.
What happened?
We left Tucumcari, New Mexico,
Okay.
heading west.
Too soon. It's been 3 years, but too soon.
It's probably more like 4
Too
years at this
soon.
point, but heading west,
Yes.
and it was morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, maybe.
So morning had broken.
Morning had broken. The
Okay.
sun was out.
Everybody wanted to go.
Everybody wanted to go, and we made that trip between Tucumcari and the climb up the mountain
And
before
down the
Albuquerque
mountain.
at 35 miles an hour.
Oof.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
coolest thing
I've
about
never
that,
done it that slow.
Oh my
so
goodness.
the coolest thing about the whole thing, though, I got to tell you, and maybe it was early on in our driving career, because there was an good old boy trucker leading the pack,
Yeah.
and he had his CB on, and he told you play by play where he was, what the conditions were, what lane you need to be in, how fast you should be going.
Yep.
Like he gave that play by play the whole direction, and I got to tell you, while it was nerve wracking and only going 35 miles an hour, it made the drive
And that might have been
less
too
nerve
fast.
wracking.
So this was fresh snow and ice, I assume.
This
And-
was fresh snow and ice, and it wasn't maintained real well.
Okay.
The plows hadn't
So-
gone through that westbound yet.
Okay. Now I understand. I thought you meant it was just too much traffic
Oh,
going in.
no.
Oh.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
Now I
wondering,
follow.
too.
Now, okay.
No.
Now I'm
No.
clued in. I
When
get
we-
what
But
you're saying.
it
When
because
we-
wasn't
I've
chain
done.
laws.
When
But it
we
wasn't
got to
chain laws yet.
Albuquerque,
Yeah.
I had to pull over and top off my washer fluid because
You'd use
I
it
had
all.
used it all.
Yeah,
every last drop.
I had that experience, but it was in Pennsylvania, and I was behind a snowplow, and it, for 100 miles, it took me like 4 hours.
yeah,
And I don't get me wrong, I'm grateful. I made my delivery on time. I was safe,
We were safe.
but I mean, like it was grueling. It just
Yeah.
like woof,
it wears you out.
it does.
It wears you out.
It does. There is like when everything is perfect, you're doing 65, even being safe and attentive, and you're just on the interstate, especially like 40 where it's wide open. You don't zone out. That would be unsafe.
Sure.
But you can be in a relaxed state.
Yes.
And when you are in anything but that,
You're hyper focused.
everything else just gets more stressful.
Yeah.
It's like walking. Like, most of us can walk around our block. No big deal.
Right.
Most of us can walk through a mall. No big deal. Going to the mall at 3 days before Christmas, all of a sudden getting from, I was going to say Sears, which doesn't exist, but getting from J.C. Penney's to
Kohl's.
Macy's or Kohl's,
Yeah.
all of a sudden it's like, why is this so hard? And
Yeah.
why am I so tired? And why do I feel like I need to go stand in line for Starbucks just to get a little boost? Because you're just so focused because there's so many people around.
Yeah.
Not only is there like you're fighting crowds, but like you're watching, make sure no one pickpockets you and all that stuff. So same thing with trucking. Like when you're in snow and ice, and even if the road is like you have traction, you do know that if you go too fast, you could lose traction.
Sure.
You also know there's other people around you, and you got to watch out because there's always that one idiot
Right.
that's out there that's a super trucker that knows best. And
and there
doesn't
were
care.
those. There
Yeah.
were those that were flying by us.
yes,
This guy was not, though. The man, and he was an older man. You could tell by his voice. He was not. He was doing safe speed. He was given clear direction should you want to follow it.
well, that is the super trucker then, right?
But he was not doing well in my mind. Yes, maybe, but he was being a safe
It's-
super.
Yes.
He
Yeah.
was- yeah.
You could tell when the roads got better because our distance of CB lost his voice.
Mm-hmm.
And for Vince and I, that was like an excitement moment that the roads were getting better because obviously he could pick up speed and drive
Right.
away. But it was the coolest. I thought it was the coolest thing as far as CB because a lot of people don't still use their CBs. And it was it was educational, I guess. But it was also helpful, and then to me, I think that's what they're out there for. And there are still people out there providing that service. I don't know what you want to call that.
Well, it's like most things, right? A lot of this stuff that we like that's super helpful becomes trashy, right? And so when you turn your CB on now and you cruise down the road, 9 times out of 10 you hear just the most stupid, ridiculous
sure.
stuff.
Yeah.
Sure.
Sometimes it's super offensive. Sometimes it's just trash. Sometimes it's just whatever, bored people talking to each other, and maybe that's kind of fun to engage with some. And then that 10% of the time, it's super helpful.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I certainly get that. Eric and I, we did a mix of trucks. Some had CB, some didn't. I turned mine on several times. Every time I turned it on, it was always trash talking, and I was like, I'm not here for this, and I would just turn it off.
Sure.
So I never enjoyed it. But also, a lot's changed since CBs came out. Back when they were like new and super helpful in the trucks, and like terrestrial radio would only last 30, 45 minutes, an hour maybe.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you got to find a new radio station.
Yeah.
Whereas if we're all headed east, we could just have a conversation, and we all know talking on the phone makes miles turn into
Quickly.
minutes
Yeah.
instead of
Quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Back in the day, before cell phones, I rode with my mom when I was 16, and she drove big truck, 18-wheeler, and that was her cell phone. Like, she would get
Did she have a
on,
handle?
Country Bumpkin,
Oh,
love it.
and she would talk on that CB for hours. She would
Well, I'm sorry,
find-
your mom?
Yes.
No.
Yes. She would find someone going in the same direction, and it would just be
conversation
a
on.
10-hour shift, and then she would shut it down.
Yep.
And I can't count how many times she'd talk to somebody for 8-9 hours, and then be like, all right, listen, this is before you had to do the 30-minute breaks and everything. And then she'd pull over at a truck stop, and then she'd go in and actually meet them and have coffee. And
Oh.
Yeah, absolutely.
Aw.
That was a
that.
thing.
Yeah.
That was a thing. Absolutely. Yeah. Because back then you had like a lot of full service. Almost every truck stop was full service.
Yeah.
So you could literally pop in, have a cup of coffee, have a slice of pie, whatever, full meal, and
With your 100-mile buddy or 500-mile buddy.
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. I missed out on that. Unfortunately, when I finally got around to trucking, pilots and loves were taking over and pushing TA and Petro out. So,
The full service.
yeah. But we also now have satellite radio, which
Yeah.
didn't exist back then, and internet's everywhere. And we had podcast and all that stuff. Now, I am old enough that I had to actually download my podcast when I was in internet, because you would go across large stretches of the country and just not have internet, which it's amazing to me now that that's not even a thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, you have
Right.
internet everywhere.
Yeah.
But
We
that
ran
was,
with our radio on. Sometimes turned down, but we ran with ours on.
No, I didn't.
Oh, I did.
I didn't. I'd turn it on if I saw traffic or something, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't run it otherwise, because, like you said, it was just a bunch of BS.
yeah.
I know I've shared the story, but should have, but didn't. It was one of the first times we were in Idaho, and someone had mentioned sheep, and I thought they were just like sightseeing sheep because it looked like countryside where you should be seeing sheep up on a
In
hill.
the pastures or something.
No,
yeah.
sheep on a hill, like
Like mountain goats?
yes,
kinda?
yes, like mountain sheep,
Yeah.
right? And so I thought that's what they were talking about, and I came around the corner and had to Jake brake it pretty hard, and there was like 1,000 sheep in the road.
Oh, wow.
And so then it dawned on me, oh, the CB could be helpful. He was telling me, I guess I didn't pick up what he was putting down, but I did run with it on. Not always was it helpful, and
Well, and Eric and I were in trucks that didn't have them.
sure,
So, like, not every
Sure.
truck we own is equipped with CB. Some are, some aren't.
no,
Yeah, we installed ours in our first truck.
and it was only good for 3
the
trucks ahead of
factory
you or
antenna
4
is not
trucks. It
very
wasn't a
powerful.
very
Yeah.
powerful, but it would serve its purpose. You know,
Yeah.
I'd use it if we were in traffic. What
Sure.
lane should I be in? You know, what's it telling me which direction and those kind of things. But
Yeah.
Anyway,
When we ran with them, obviously they didn't have them, but you talk about sheep. So most of y'all know over the summer, Eric and I did actually go to Scotland. And there was a road we were on. We saw the woolly cows, and we saw
woolly
all the
cows.
oh yeah, the big hairy fluffy cows, the
Yeah.
Highlands cows, and all that. I got to pet one. It was so funny because Melissa, my sister, not you, Buttermilk.
Yes.
My sister, she was so like, I really want to see one of these big woolly cows. Never got the opportunity to. We stopped at a museum. We went to the museum. It was actually like it was unique. So what it was they do these like communities or neighborhoods, I guess you'd say.
I would call it a village.
A village, yeah, good, a village. So all these houses, they're stone walled, and I mean like stone. Like they went to the side of the mountain, like, oh, this stone will do, and then carried over. Not chiseled, not beat down and whatever. Like no, just stone walled, and they're all freestanding. There's no mortar in between them. So the walls are really thick because of that freestanding nature.
Yeah.
And you basically play Tetris with whatever rock you get. And they build their walls, and then you go inside, and there'd be usually one room, but a couple of the nice places had 2 rooms. Like, ooh.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Let's say
And
the one that had parent and kids.
yes, the
Parents might get their own room.
yes, that was, well, the parents' room was also the kitchen and living room. And the kids' room was their own room, which sounds like, oh, the kids got it made. No, this room was not big and had like 8 bunk beds in it because you got to remember the families back then were huge.
Yeah.
So mom and dad were like, no, all 16 of you in this room, and we're in here. My sister decided to buy something, and so Eric and I, we walk out, and we're just walking along the fence line, and I look up ahead, and I'm like, there's one of those woolly cows. And there's all these people that are like rubbing it and petting it and everything. So Eric and I walk up there, and we just start petting the woolly cow. And mind you, literally, I did not know these existed. Like, I've seen their pictures before, but I didn't know it was a Scottish thing. Like, I just thought it was a hairy cow somewhere. And so I didn't know this all existed. So we're going over there, we pet it, we feed it a carrot, all that stuff, get photos and videos. And I'm like, where's Melissa? Like, she needs to be here seeing this. She's been asking about this whole time. And so we start like texting her aggressively, and dad eventually walks out, and he comes over there, and he's petting the cow. And it's like, where on earth is my sister? And she's in line. And so finally she walks out of the bookstore, and she's just kind of like, where the boys went, like kind of looking around, trying to figure out what to do or whatever. And then she locks eyes on us, and then she's like, oh my gosh. And she starts like not running, but like aggressively moving fast towards us or whatever.
Swiftly walking.
And she was able to get like 1 or 2 little like pets before the cow was like, I'm good, and walked away. And it was like, oh man, if she'd have been 30 seconds later, she'd have missed out on it. And it was the only time we ran into him.
That's
All that to say, that road
yes. Had sheep on it.
had sheep on it. And I don't mean like they were on either side of the road.
It was
They
in
were
the
on
road.
I mean, you would just come around a corner, and there'd be a family of sheep.
Yeah.
And you just, like just not hit them. It
Yeah.
was bananas. I've never seen wildlife just
I've
so
never seen
laissez-faire.
I've never seen such large herds of sheep being moved and utilizing a main thoroughfare road.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up, we all know, Oregon country. We had horses and pigs and the whole 9 yards. I've been on cattle drives before. I've done all those kind of things, but to actually see 1,000 head of sheep or more, and you've got the dogs herding them and people walking, and you have a few cars, and I mean, like, they were navigating these sheep from one big field to another, but it required utilizing
The road.
the road.
Interstate.
I thought it was pretty cool. I
It
had
wasn't
to wait.
interstate. It was just
Road.
country road.
It was
Okay.
a country.
It was probably a state highway. though.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it was the state
Yeah.
highway. But
Well, how about
I ended up parking, and I had to wait for them to completely move
Yeah.
their flock around me to the other side in order for me to then continue my thoroughfare.
How
Is it
about
a
the
flock?
time?
A flock of sheep?
No, I think it's a herd.
a herd?
herd.
A flock?
I don't know.
I don't know
Isn't
either.
a flock a bird?
I think a
Yes.
flock is a bird.
If
I
you
thought-
know
I thought
what
it's a flock of sheep.
if you know what you
A herd
call
of
a bunch of, if you know what you call a bunch of sheep, please add it to the comments.
Oh,
We'd love to hear what
We
you.
don't have Dawn today in the.
We don't have our fact checker.
We don't. So what were you going to say?
The time in Utah
Yes.
when we saw the herd of bison being moved.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Now that wasn't. It was from pasture to pasture. They had a couple of cars that were working. I think they had horses too. The sheriffs had the road blocked on either
it
side
was. I forgot about
Yeah.
that load.
while they moved all the bison from one pasture to another. That was pretty cool. Because from where we were, you couldn't really tell if they were cows or bison.
Yeah.
As they opened the road and we could get closer, it was like, those were all bison. That was pretty cool.
Now, were they using the helicopters, like the
No
They
Yellowstone
weren't
action.
using helicopters.
There's a Yellowstone
No
action.
Yellowstone
No.
No. I forgot about the bison. Wow. Memory lane.
You talk about the bison, makes me think of the elk. Oh, we're gonna be here all day with the stories. I apologize, but we were in Estes Park, Colorado.
If I may,
Oh,
for just a
yeah.
moment,
Yes, sir.
if I may,
Yes.
You may.
can we not record this part? Because I don't want it to be on camera and recorded when I say buttermilk was right. It is actually a flock of sheep.
Woo!
It can also
Wow.
refer to a group of birds. So you were right also.
Thank
Please,
you.
Jerry, don't put any of that on the video because
Thank you.
they'll both use it against me. But,
Thank
I thought
you.
it was that. I don't know why I
Yeah.
knew that.
yeah.
Well, I grew up rural. Maybe that's why I knew it.
I grew up city, so
That's why you didn't
that's
know
why I
it.
doubt
I
it.
have the Google box, so
The
that's
Google
why I
box.
know.
We're in Estes Park, Colorado, which you haven't been. It's beautiful. It's in the middle of the mountains. The hotel that they filmed The Shining at is actually there.
Really?
Yes. So and we actually toured that hotel, and we actually went and saw the room and the hallway and everything from it. It's very cool, very creepy. What's that, labyrinth or whatever and everything, like it's all there. So we were there and just walking through town as one does, and no, we were in a car. Maybe we were leaving, like
Yeah, we were in a car.
we were in a car, but I think we were like in a parking lot. We were like just getting ready to leave. I think we were just getting ready to go into town. So like we had parked in like one of the little parking lots. You know, there's little small towns. They don't have enough parking in town, so
Right.
a lot of those that are neat to visit, they have like parking lots on either side of them. So we parked in a parking lot, and we were getting ready to walk into Estes
Fast-
Park and go check it out.
I think we were getting fast food. That's what I
That's
remember.
what it was. Oh,
No
how
name
dare you
advertising,
correct me on here? But no,
yeah, we were getting some
we were at
quick lunch.
we were at the Golden Arches. I'm not going to tell you what company. And we were in the drive-through. We saw these cops come up, and we're like, "What's happening here?"
Yeah.
And it was a herd of elk. They were not being ranched. They're just wild elk.
Yeah.
They just live in the area. And they just decided to take a
Taking their
stroll
time.
down Main Street. And when I say a stroll, I mean
They're not in a hurry.
no rush. Not like Canadian geese. You ever had the Canadian geese just walk on the road like they own it?
Yes.
Like they don't realize that
Yeah.
your car can just destroy them? That. Except your car can't destroy an elk. You would destroy
That was
the
pretty
car.
cool, probably.
They were huge.
They have-
That's one thing I noticed. I'm
They have
like,
antlers?
yo,
still?
gigantic antlers,
Yeah.
everything. Oh, they're huge. I thought elk were big deer. No, they're ginormous deer.
They're
They're-
one step away from a moose.
Yeah, yes, they were ridiculous, and they just walked through the
That'd be
area
pretty
like
cool
it
to
was no
see.
big deal. And the cops shut down the road to let them do their thing because they don't like they're not going to cattle prod the elk or anything like that. They do let the elk do their own thing, but they do give the elk some encouragement. The cops, several of them were kind of like behind the elk, kind of like
They were
ha ha, like
slightly hurting them,
encouraging them, like
Like out of their cars?
out of their cars
yeah,
and
walking
kind of
on the
like
road.
with a distance. I mean,
Sure,
they
sure.
were they were not close, but
kicking
they were
distance.
they were not kicking distance. But they were like, come on, get out of the road, like very gently.
Talk about
very gently.
shut down the town.
Shut it.
What roads they weren't blocking? They were stopping everybody else for rubbernecking.
Yes, and it's
Oh,
an
yeah.
old.
If you weren't stopped by that
Well, yeah,
deer,
because
you
I
were
can imagine
stopped
most people
staring
haven't
at
seen
them.
Yeah,
an
and
elk
it's-
in person.
And it's like a gold rush town. So
Yeah.
you imagine, the street with the sidewalk, and there's just people everywhere with cameras
Yeah.
and cell phones just recording all this.
That's
It was
cool.
very, very cool.
You ever think the elk are like, yep, I'm going to be on TikTok.
I think the elk are.
Instagramming me.
I think the
Woohoo.
elk all ate something that morning. They're like, I have an idea. Didn't we just do that on Thursday? It's a new crowd.
New crowd.
It was fun, wasn't it?
It
Do
was
it
fun.
again.
It was fun. So, yeah, I enjoy that. You know what you don't see on the side of the road is elk.
Oh,
Elk,
Yeah, dead in the side of the
yeah,
road.
elk are clever.
No.
Deer, not so much. But elk,
Oh, they're
Well,
very,
there's wisdom.
What
Yeah.
you see on the side of the road in elk country is busted up cars.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. You hit a 9,000-pound
Yeah.
elk,
They're
You're
very
done.
smart. They're
Yeah.
very smart animals.
yeah.
I have been a part of a hunting party with elk, and it's definitely different than deer hunting. They're very, they're like you said, they're craftier, they're smarter, they're
Yeah.
conniving or whatever. All those that their intelligence is much different than just a deer who's gonna hop in front of your truck or a car.
I saw one the other day. I was coming to the house, and there was a deer in the middle of the road, dead. And I mean, literally just like 500 feet beyond the house. And I was like, I'm so glad that's not in my yard. If it's on the road, they pick it up ASAP. If it's in your yard, we'll get to it.
When they get to
Yeah,
it.
Yeah.
yeah.
So the other thing that was cool about the mentor retreat, and I love that you it was in your video, but like for 10 seconds, is we do one of the key points of these mentor retreats is fellowship and family and just rewarding, giving a chance to hang out, cut loose. Y'all saw in the video we brought the live band in. Really had a great time. But we also have the time where we get together and talk. And it's what I love about those sessions, and you showed again like 10 seconds of that, which I thought was very appropriate. You kind of showed like, hey, we are here for business too.
Exactly.
But not, you didn't drag it on like, who really wants to see a bunch of us sitting around talking? And
Sure.
and those sessions were private. Just being able to talk about things and find out ways Hyfield can better support our mentors, or talk to our mentors about things that are troubling them, ways we can help them out, things they could do better, et cetera, et cetera. So it was a really great time. We've had some things come from that we've
Yeah.
implemented and some new changes that are coming. I love that because it's the reinvestment in what we're doing, and it's also the perfecting of what we're already doing. Like, we already have the best mentor program in the industry. If we do nothing else, we're already the best. But that's not good enough. We
Sure.
all, as a group, sat down together and said, here's things we can do better. And the fact that we are trying to get that program better and trying to dial it in and everything. Like, I love that aspect of like, let's keep growing. Let's keep not growing necessarily always in more trucks. Because really, if you look at our fleet over the past few years, we haven't really grown in trucks. We've grown in quality. And having our mentors able to grow that program into a situation that they're either easier to work with or more information they have available or whatever it is. I just love that quality rising. I love it
I think it's
getting
refined.
better. It is. It is, and some of it is, metal sharpens metal, right? Trust me, not all of those sessions were particularly fun, right? Like,
Yeah.
there are hard conversations that have to happen. And what I love is we never do those on the first day. We always kind of put them second day, because we need to remind each other that we all really like each other and we all really enjoy what we do, so that when we have those hard conversations, when the mentors look at us and go, hey, Hyfield, here's where you're screwing up. Here's what we can do better. It hurts, but it's like, oh yeah, you're coming at it from a position of like, hey, here's a blind spot. Let's fix that blind spot. And I love it. I just, it's been really refreshing to go through that. And then we've had now a couple weeks to process it. We've made some changes. We've announced some things that are coming in January. We've just really, it's exciting. I love that. I love that aspect of it. So it's not just all fun and games. It is, how can we get ourselves better and,
Sure.
and such. And,
And even that little 10-second blurb that showed all of us here having that meeting, even though we're all still having downtime the remainder of the time, there's still side conversations and great information shared
Absolutely.
between mentors or mentors and staff. But not all business 24/7 during the retreat.
That's one of the fun things about doing it at a location like we did. There's lots of little seating areas around the
Sure.
place. There is literally conversation around the campfire.
Yeah.
There's literally conversation around the band. There's literally conversation around a dinner table or that dinner table or whatever. We were
pool
able
table.
to, or the pool table. Listen, I've had some great conversations sitting around a pool table, shooting pool, even like with the mentors, yes, but also with other people. Like I think of working with FedEx, for example, and doing a retreat with them that Eric and I did a couple years back. I remember sitting around the pool table at 11 o'clock at night, drinking bourbon and shooting pool with some of the FedEx executives and being able to have really honest conversations. Liquid encouragement helped, but some really honest conversations. And then to see a few months later, things change and thinking to myself, like, that's because we
Played
Yeah.
pool.
played a game of
Played
pool
pool.
together
Yeah,
one
yeah.
night. Like,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff is really cool. And that's what I value. And that's what I enjoy about these retreats and these weekends. And Jerry, again, you putting that video together, kind of showing everything together, you taking care of the Hyfield Feud, you getting Steve Harvey to be here. It was
That was an amazing get.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
That was something. You pulled off what I was able to do once, and it's very impressive because I've not been able to do it again.
Was it a surprise?
You got Vince Chili in a suit.
I didn't know where that was going.
I didn't either.
By the way, you looked great.
Even better was they got Chili to put a tie on.
Yes. Yeah.
I do wish we could have showed more of that in the video, but unfortunately, copyright, that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun. I really
He's
enjoyed it.
he's getting. I'm gonna rat you out. Ready? Ready for the bus? Here
Uh-oh.
it comes.
Ruh-roh.
He's getting ready in the bathroom, and
Dressing room.
The
Sorry,
dressing,
the
the green
dressing
room. We
room.
call it
The
the green
green
room.
room.
The green room.
Don did not provide snacks in the green room.
No, he didn't.
But he was getting ready
He's
in the
been
green room,
he's been reprimanded. Don't worry.
and I hear from behind my side of the door, "I'm putting a tie on. I didn't even wear a tie to my daughter's wedding."
I hadn't planned on that being public because
I know,
she
but
might
I
watch
said
this
that.
and be like,
Uh,
wore a tie?
but not to throw. Okay, so let me put the bus now in forward gear. Your daughter's wedding, you did have a tie. The
did.
tie was not the right size.
It was a bow tie, and I didn't realize bow ties come in sizes,
Oh yeah.
and I have a fat neck, and it wouldn't work.
So it wasn't that he didn't have one; it just didn't fit.
I do love a bow tie. I'm still.
That was part of the deal, but she graciously said it would all be okay because he was just there and walked her down the aisle, which was the bigger of the, and he got her there on time.
I like a bow tie because even though I'm a larger feller,
Yeah,
the problem with ties is they don't always
Right.
like. There's a
Yeah.
length issue. Sometimes they're not long enough
Sure.
or whatever, and a bow tie is always the right length, as long as you get the right
As long as
size,
you get the
right?
right size, it's the
Um,
right length, yes.
And I buy a clip-on, so it's even easier.
Well, my daughter and I had a deal years ago. I mean, this is 10 years ago.
Yeah, she was 9.
probably.
Well, no, she was a little older than that. I won't write her age out, but I went tie shopping because I was going on a job interview or something, and we were joking about bow ties, and we made a deal that I would learn to tie a bow tie when she planned to get married. So that was the deal. I learned to tie the tie. I just couldn't tie it around my neck.
Oh.
So anyway,
You could have done it around your arm,
I could have,
your forearm.
we got to call her and have her redo the whole wedding thing. I'll put her on my
I'm
arm
kidding.
next time.
No,
I'm
just give him
You looked
at 5 years, have him do a.
a renewal.
A
Yes,
renewal.
a
Yeah.
renewal of vows.
You
and
looked very
yes.
sharp playing the part of Steve Harvey.
You absolutely did.
Thank you.
It
Absolutely.
was very nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And
Thank
you
you very
even
much.
you the quips and the eye rolls and all the stuff. It was
Yeah.
it was very fun. I will say though, as soon as it was over, the very first thing you did was
I
rip
did.
that right off.
I did.
But no, it was a great weekend. Had a lot of fun. Enjoyed fellowshipping and hanging out with all of our mentors and staff too. Because even like you said, staff was here for a week prior. Our staff was literally all over the country. People in New Mexico, we have people in Louisiana, people in Georgia, people here. It's just and literally spread across Ohio, not even all in Columbus. So it was really great to have everybody all together.
And still working and preparing.
Yes,
Yep,
absolutely.
doing both.
Yep. So it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of hard work, but it was executed great, and it was a very good thing. And I look forward to doing next year's.
Yeah.
That process is already starting to get planned out. So I'm excited
Momentum.
about that. But I do hate to bring us from a positive note to a downer.
All right.
But I feel obligated to bring up the fact that, unfortunately, since this little break that we've been gone, Judy Love, and if you think of her name, you may have seen this already online. But if you don't know who that is, Judy Love being the key word, her last name, she was the wife of Tom Love. Together, they started Love's Truck Stops back in 1842. No, 1964.
Close.
She passed away at 86 years old.
87.
87 years old. It's just one of those things. Tom, her husband, passed away last year. We covered that on the podcast as well. It's just sad to see. Here's a couple. They met at OSU, not Ohio State University, but Oklahoma State University.
Yeah.
And they borrowed some money from a family. I think it was like $5,000 or something like that.
$5,000. Yeah.
Started a service station, a gas station, and grew that into the Love's empire it is today. It is still family owned. Her kids, or their kids, their grandkids, etc., still operate it, and they're still integral in the family business.
Been less than a year. Sometimes I feel that's maybe a broken heart, but she was older as well. But when you've been together that long, I guess it's not surprising. And I don't mean that in a negative or
I do
negative way.
I do think it's actually been over a year. I believe he passed away in March.
Yeah, but
but-
still,
I get that.
that broken heart syndrome could be a real thing.
It is super common, right, for a husband and wife. One passes and the other one passes not
Yeah.
long after. So I certainly get that.
And monumental, I guess, is a word in our society. I mean, Love's is pretty big, not just with truckers, but with the four-wheelers out there,
Yeah, absolutely. I like when I'm out driving around a personal vehicle, or sometimes with the business, I have to drive a rental car from a certain location. Like there was we talked about on the podcast last year. I brought a truck out to somewhere in Arkansas,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jonesboro,
right.
maybe.
Yeah, it was Jones.
The only thing I could get, the only vehicle I could get, the only vehicle I could get out of there was a U-Haul. And so I had to drive a U-Haul back to Columbus.
Yeah.
So obviously you're stopping at gas stations and such. And that was, I used Love's, go in there, use restroom, buy water there. I actually like the water that they have, their Love's branded water.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just, it's not a shame. She had a wonderful life.
Yeah.
Even after Love's was already in business and they were making money, she actually went back to school. At this point, she was 40s. Went back to school, got a degree in interior design, started a whole
Wow.
interior design business and everything. I mean, she lived a very full life. There was the article I read is a very long list of organizations that she contributed to. They were part of their philanthropy and everything. And one of the ones I saw that I really was oh yeah, it kind of tugged on the heartstrings was they took care of a school, and I can't remember the name of it, but it's the only school in Oklahoma City that caters towards homeless youth. So it's a school for homeless youth, and they gave a lot to that school, and it's that's pretty cool to have
Yeah,
an eye
it really
to.
is.
Hey, here's something that's not glamorous and there's not a lot of attention on it, but there's a need and I'm going to meet it. Our hearts go out to the Love's company, but the Love's family, definitely. I know it's hard to lose a parent, it's hard to lose a mother. I've been through that, and in Buttermilk you've as well.
Yeah.
They have our best wishes.
Absolutely.
Sure.
And hopefully the peace that she's in a better place, and she lived a wonderful life.
Okay, so
So,
Jerry
Jerry, Mr. Barrow,
Burrow.
Burrow.
Mr. Wheelbarrow.
Burrow.
Mr. Wheelbarrow.
That's not my name, people.
Mr.
Jerry.
Boogie.
Boogie.
Jerry.
No,
Cut.
that's staying.
Mr. Boogie. I do have a follow-up question. It has nothing to do with travel. How is your mom and her area doing after the bad weather a month or so ago?
The area is still recovering.
Yes.
I think the state's doing really, really well, and FEMA and all that. They're doing a great job, and there's still a lot of work to be done. But luckily, where she is at in her neck of the woods, she's good. She didn't have any major damage to the house or anything like that. A few
Good.
trees down, but
Gasoline, food, all of those supplies are still coming in.
Oh, yeah.
And
everything's good.
internet for her. Internet's good.
Yep.
Good.
Her cell phone's still going in and out. I think they're still working on towers and stuff, but
Yeah.
for the most part, everything's been up and going.
Good.
That's
Good.
excellent. I've been
Good.
traveling a lot lately, and we'll talk about that next episode. I've set many a hotel.
Mini a hotel.
I've set many an airport next to people and had conversations about the devastation going on in North Carolina, and people talking about going and getting gasoline and not being able to get more than a couple gallons, or some of those little shady shops charging $15, $20 a
Ooh.
gallon,
Wow.
and just crazy things like that.
Wow.
And so it's certainly been a topic of conversation that I've encountered quite a few times over the past few weeks in my travels. So I'm glad to hear that she's not having to deal with so
Yeah.
much of that stuff.
It's still out there.
It's still out there, and yeah, I-40's still a wreck.
Yeah,
That's
I think
gonna
that's
be-
going to be down for a
It's
while.
gonna be down for a hot minute.
I think I've seen online they're saying 2026.
Ooh, they bumped it
Wow.
out.
Yeah.
Ooh. And that's could be a major thoroughfare.
Yes,
For
because
travelers.
otherwise you got to go 26, like all the way up into Tennessee to.
40?
Well,
Not 40. I meant something different.
What is that up there? That's
like 70
86 or 70?
I wanted to say
81?
71, and it's not. 81.
81.
goes
81.
up towards Bristol and all that. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
My brain just had a stretch.
I might have a turn that in a hot moment.
Ooh,
I
I need
don't
a-
remember.
I need a Kit Kat. That was a rough one.
Our last time on 40 in a truck was through Nashville.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. And that's been 2.5 years ago.
I haven't been to Nashville in forever.
Really?
Like it's been a very long time.
Do you go around it?
Yes. So lately, if
I'm
I
like,
have
because
to,
you've been there. I know you're talking about that in a later episode, but
yeah, but lately, if I'm going down towards Dallas or Memphis or something like that, I will typically take the Kentucky Parkway, Western Kentucky Parkway, and drop down into around Paducah, drop down into like Dyersburg, and then Union City, Dyersburg, and then on into Memphis that way. And it's just a lot less hassle. It adds, by the book, it adds time. When you factor in Nashville
and that time.
at that time of day, it adds no time. Because it's guaranteed. Like, I can make Memphis to Columbus in a day drive,
Yeah.
going that route every time. It's guaranteed. If I go through Nashville,
It's crapshoot.
flip a
Yeah.
coin.
You end up running out of hours in Jeffersonville.
Exactly. I did that one time. It's only happened once. In all my years, it only happened once. And I called Eric, and he came down, and he grabbed the truck from there, and I grabbed the car, and he drove the truck back, and I drove the car back. That was years ago. But yeah, it's
Now you
only
just
happened
go
once.
around.
Yeah, now I'll go around it, bypass it. Nashville can't hold you up if you don't go through it.
No, it can't.
No.
Yeah.
So, and I've learned Cincinnati pretty good. I've gotten getting around Cincinnati down, so that helps. Because Cincinnati's another, like Louisville, Cincinnati, and Nashville are like horrible traffic areas.
I saw something about a bridge in Cincinnati that caught fire recently.
Mhm.
Anybody else see that?
Oh, I did see that. Is
Yeah.
that open yet?
Do we know where that's
I-
at exactly?
Did you? I
Don't
think it's
know.
the 471, right?
It
Crossing
was.
over. And did you see the bridge pictures?
No.
Oh, the I beams like make a big U, like a smiley face.
Wow.
Oh yeah, like it's
Like it melted.
like, oh yeah, it melted. It got so hot it like smiley faced it, and they had this little robot go over there and take video because it's risky. Like it's clearly weakened, so can it even hold up the concrete that's above it? They didn't even know if that would happen.
Ooh.
So
they sent
but
a
I
robot
don't-
in.
I don't know how fast that is to repair.
I don't know.
You know, it's weird with bridge construction. Some things, they have to be designed and take forever to do. Other things, when it's just a repair, it's like, all right, order in 6 beams, and we'll just swap them out real quick. So I don't know where we stand on that. I haven't driven. I never take that bridge.
Sure.
I've probably been across it twice in my entire life.
I think it also just depends on how fast they need it back open. Because look at what happened in Maryland outside of D.C. Like,
Sure.
that was I-95. They had that back open quick.
Yes,
Well,
they did.
like I-40 through Memphis, the bridge going across.
Oh yeah, when they found the
Mississippi, when they
bridge
found
was
the
cracked.
flaws, yeah.
yeah,
They got that fixed pretty fast too.
they
so.
brought a company in and got that knocked
Yeah.
out real quick.
So it really depends on how important that thoroughfare is.
Yeah. And the 471, it's a nice bypass, but it's a bypass.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Baltimore Bridge. They are going to build that fast, but that's a from scratch design. They're not repairing it.
Right.
They're rebuilding to a whole new standard. They're going to take those piers out. They're going to make that whole thing wider.
Is that where the
That's
The
where
barge.
the barge
The
knocked
barge
it
in
out?
well, it was a ship, but yeah.
Ship. Is it still not open? I'm
It-
sorry, I'm not familiar. I'm not up to
Oh,
today's
okay.
standards.
Yeah, no, they still have the old piers up, but again, they're going to tear those down to the ground
So it's not. There's nothing there that you can
No.
get across. Got it.
no.
Noted.
I think they're
And
going to.
it's a long detour.
Yeah, and they're talking about speed tracking that thing being like 2030,
Oh, that's
like moving
really.
fast.
That's not.
That's
That's,
moving very fast
oh,
for a bridge like that.
okay.
Because think about it, it's not like anybody had plans or designs.
2030.
They're having to start from scratch,
What are we in now? Oh,
and it was
7 years.
it was a very old 6,
6.
5 almost.
Yeah.
Okay.
5's a month
Sorry.
away.
5 years though to build a bridge.
Well, to design and build, it's going to be built to today's standards, so it's going to be higher off the ground. It's going to be a wider span.
Yeah.
I watched a documentary on it the other day, and they were talking about how that bridge being so old, it is a critical failure bridge, which means if one thing breaks, the whole thing falls, which clearly we saw does. So they don't build bridges that way anymore. Now, if you have something that gets hit, the other part of the structure can hold it up. And also, they build their spans wider because right now those spans are right in the middle of deep water. But if they built it wider, so it'd have a longer span, which again, longer span is more expensive to build.
Sure.
So that's why they didn't want to do it in the first place. But if you build a wider span, then it puts those piers in shallow water. So a ship would actually hit shallow water and just get stuck in the mud before it ever has an opportunity
Oh, that
to
makes
knock the
sense.
bridge over.
Makes sense.
So, stuff like that didn't exist back in the 60s when they built that bridge.
Right.
It's probably going to be a cable stay, which we've all seen those. It's where they have the tower and then you see the
Right.
lines coming across. It almost looks like
Yeah.
a suspension bridge,
Right.
but there's no like happy face in the middle. So, yeah, I think that's what they're working on. But I mean, they from scratch. Literally, you have to design it from scratch. They've got to do environmental studies. They've got to do all that stuff.
Makes
Can't order
sense.
from the
So-
Sears catalog.
Yeah, I mean, right. Most of those bridges are 10, 20-year projects, and they're trying to do it in 5.
Well,
That's extremely fast.
Yes.
I'm
So
Yes.
sure the public will like that.
I think so too.
Shorter detours or no detour.
I know. Until then, everything coming that area would just be a little more expensive.
Take the long way around or relocate your home if you were one of those daily drivers.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine if that was your?
Your commute.
I do
Yeah.
wonder if they had to put Did they put ferries in place? They
I
would have
don't
had
know.
to, right?
Mhm.
I'm curious if they did that. Put ferries. That'd be a quick, easy fix.
Yeah. It would.
Just run a ferry
I
across.
imagine there may have been ferries there already.
I think
It
there
happens
used
a
to
lot
be.
of
They built a
times.
bridge, and the
Well, it happens
There-
a lot where there
Yeah.
are bridges, there are ferries. Just I mean,
Maybe
in
they
San
added more
Francisco,
ferries.
yeah, you have the Oakland Bay
Mhm.
Bridge, and there's still ferries from San Francisco to Oakland.
Yeah.
So
and you can actually buy. It's a weird minutia. But you can actually buy a used ferry, like a car ferry. You can buy them. They
I
just
saw
exist
one
out there.
the other day I was looking on Bring a Trailer.
Yeah.
There's a couple ferries on Bring a Trailer. Yeah. Yes, bring a big ass trailer, but you can
I
still
just,
bring a trailer.
you know, my problem with those ferries, all right? All the glitter, so much glitter. No, you can buy freaking. What was it? Pete Davidson and the guy who's married to the girl.
Right.
Yes.
Uh,
I know none of this.
He's on Weekend Update with Michael Shea.
He's
His
looking,
name's right there.
He's
Do
looking
you
at
people-
me
His name's right
like
there.
I
Do
know
y'all-
what
do
it
you know what I'm
is.
talking about?
Michael
Oh.
Shea and
And oh, come on, it's the pretty
the
boy.
white guy.
He's the white guy. He's married
Oh my
to.
gosh.
He's married to the girl that played in Her.
What?
Her.
She played in Her.
The
She was the voice of
She was
Her.
the voice of Her.
She
I've never
played
have you
in
seen that?
Oh, Scarlett Johansson.
Scarlett Johansson.
ScarJo, as I call
Husband.
her.
Scarlett Johansson's husband is
Colin Jost.
Colin
Colin
Jost.
Jost.
Colin Jost.
It was right there.
So Pete
right
Davidson and
here.
Colin
Right
Jost
there.
bought a Staten Island ferry.
Really?
Yes,
That's hilarious.
they did. They didn't know what to do with it. They just thought it'd be
They
fun
just
to
thought
buy.
it'd be fun to buy. Have a ferry.
Didn't have an idea of what to do with it.
Huh.
So I mean, you can buy ferries.
ferries,
So
yeah.
I'm sure they had to, right?
It
Otherwise-
seems like the
Boy,
right thing
somebody
to do.
would be
Other-
making
can you
money on
Can
that.
you imagine waking up one morning and being like,
I can't come to work. It's a 4-hour detour.
I have to move? Like literally, you like.
Yeah.
It's cheaper to move
I
than,
I
live
have
here.
to.
or
I
I
have
get a
to
different
move.
job.
Well, let's assume you have a good job.
Yeah.
I have to move. Like, it's just brutal.
I'd call
We're
the
still talking
boss
about the
and
bridge, by the way.
See if
Yeah.
I couldn't work from home. That's
The
what I
thing
would do.
is, Amazon packagers have a hard time working from home.
Oh, and I
It's
could just
true.
hear the boss too.
Yes,
Like,
sir.
well, you need to leave 4 hours earlier.
How far
Yeah.
is the detour? Does anybody know? From if you're literally doing where the bridge leaves the land to where the bridge gets on an off ramp.
I think
on
it's a
either
couple
end.
hours. I don't think it's quite 4. I think it's only a couple hours. But
That's
still,
a detour.
well, and now it's traffic, so it's even more.
because y'all are detouring.
Yes, because everybody's detouring.
I'd get a different job or move. I
Or
wouldn't
a
do it.
helicopter.
Or
That would
buy
work,
myself
too.
a ferry.
Or buy, hey,
Quit-
baby,
Quit my
Yeah.
job.
I
and
finally
buy-
got a reason to buy the speedboat.
Exactly.
We're going to make money.
Yeah.
Carpooling. All right, everybody, meet on the Bayliner. We're leaving at.
I guess from the outside looking in, I've never thought about how many lives it could have affected outside of just transportation and
It-
moving product, right?
It's huge.
For truckers, you really got to find a different way.
Especially with hazmat. It was a hazmat route, so it's even.
Oh, yeah.
but
even
for
worse.
those who worked across the bridge, either direction, now what do you do? I mean,
Yeah.
never really thought of it that way.
I
Kind
think
of
about
eye-opening.
I think about a place like Baton Rouge. Like there were times, like I remember when they repainted the old bridge. So the old bridge, so it's the least used one, but the only option was the new bridge, and it was 3 lanes each direction, and it was a nightmare. You like to cross the river, forget about it. Nightmare because they closed the old one that's less used. I can't imagine closing a major thoroughfare like that
Yeah.
and having no options.
Well,
I think this is going to conclude our episode. We thank you all for listening and joining us. It's been a hot minute since we've been back. We've all actually not really seen each other a lot since the episode. It's been wide open, crazy busy,
yeah.
and it feels good to be back. I look forward to doing more of these episodes. Oh, this coming weekend is Thanksgiving, and we do want to wish all of y'all a happy Thanksgiving. If you get the chance to go home and see your family, give them big hugs. If you don't, we appreciate you staying out there on the road, working, and keeping America going. That is such a huge part of the American culture and everything, and you really are super important, and we really do appreciate and show our gratitude towards you on that.
Happy Thanksgiving. If you've got great photos, share them on whatever social media you're on. If you're a Hyfield family contractor out there, we love to see those photos of what you're making if you're out on the road.
Hashtag Hyfield family.
Yep.
If you're not on the road and you're at home, share those photos too. We like food photos.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Eric and I had one of my most memorable Thanksgivings is spending time with Eric at a TA outside of Raleigh, North Carolina. I remember that very well. Beautiful spread they had at the Country Pride. And so
yeah, share those photos.
Yeah, share those photos. We've all been there. We've all got those experiences. We're right there alongside you.
One of our best Thanksgivings we spent at a campground in Alabama, State Park in Alabama.
Yes.
Yeah, we had a great time. We were there the whole weekend. I think we left Sunday
We cooked our own food.
afternoon to get to our pickup
Not
on
to
Monday
brag.
morning early. But Yeah, we had the Traeger out and just hooked it up. It was fun.
The other great working Thanksgiving memory we have is we were actually back in Louisiana at home for home time. We got called and said, "Hey, we need you to haul a load." And we said, "No, we're here for Thanksgiving."
Yeah.
It's like Monday, and they're like,
We
Are
really
you
need
sure?
You're the only one in the area. We really need you to." And we're like, "No, we really can't. We're like whatever." And they're like, "If we gave you this much money, would you?" And we're like, "Yeah." And so we actually did went back in service.
Yeah.
We did have to pick up until the next day, so Eric and I went over to all the family's places.
Do it Thanksgiving
and
today.
We did Thanksgiving that day,
Yeah.
and didn't have any turkey because that wasn't prepared, but we
Right.
had plenty of
Sure.
good food. And got back and Tuesday morning, made our pickup and hightailed to California, dropped on Wednesday, and made it into San Francisco to a hotel for Wednesday night. And
Nice.
Thursday morning, we went and found Thanksgiving in San Francisco.
How fun.
We weren't
So-
quite that lucky, but we got a load out of Laredo, Texas once. We had already planned that we were going to shut down for Thanksgiving. Got a load offer, threw out an outrageous number, and were turned down.
Yes.
They called another truck, and they turned them down, and they called us back and said,
Your number wasn't as outrageous
"We'll
as
do
theirs.
it. We'll do it for your number."
Yeah.
And we ran the load, and then like Wednesday, we were shut down in Jackson, Tennessee, and we were ready to kick our feet up, and just we were going to be there through at least to Friday.
Yeah.
And then we'll figure it out from Friday. That same dispatcher called and said, "I'm not going to argue with you over your number. Here's what I need you to do, and here's the number I'll pay you." And I looked at her, and she was like, "Yep." Because we had no plans. We were at a truck stop, literally. We didn't have the plans you folks had, on your Thanksgiving. It was like, yeah, this is just bonus money at this point. We had no plans of running, so sure, let's do it. And it worked out great.
We
And
picked up on that
it doesn't-
Wednesday too before
it did- we
Thanksgiving.
did. It doesn't always work out that way.
No.
It does not always work out
Got to
that
be
way.
in the right place
right
at the
place
right
at the right
time.
time.
I've got
And,
videos on the Extra Boogie of me and Don in hotel rooms on Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
cooking Thanksgiving dinner.
There you go.
Yeah.
We made a turkey in
There you
a Instapot one time.
Are
Listen,
you serious?
Yeah.
I need to see that video.
I remember a couple of years ago. It's been a while since this rumor went out, but I remember a couple of years ago there was a rumor going around that don't to drive for Hyfield because they make you run on Thanksgiving and Christmas. And when Eric and I heard this, we both laughed. We're like, literally laughed, like, "Ha, that's not real." Like, there are some benefits of having the fleet owners be drivers.
Yeah.
Like,
They
Yeah.
get it.
I get it.
Yeah.
If there's no freight on Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday,
Go home.
go home.
Yeah.
Be with your family. Like, or if it's like going home's not practical, get a nice hotel.
Sure.
Go camping. Do something. Like, I
Something.
get it. Thanksgiving is generally not busy, but if you do get a load, it's usually pretty friggin' sweet.
Yeah.
And same for Christmas. Like Christmas to New Year's, that whole 10 days there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go home
Yeah.
and shoot some fireworks, all the stuff, right? Like, it's very slow in the industry. And then as soon as like January 2nd,
It picks right back up.
get ready to work.
Yep.
It's like
Right back to
clockwork.
it.
There are some things.
Yep.
And I've heard the rumors, you've heard the rumors. I worked Christmas and I got a $10,000 load to fill in the blank, right?
They were in the right place at the right time.
Yeah,
Not everybody's there.
I'm telling you, 120 trucks over a decade. It happens
1% of the time.
1% of the time. Yeah, literally, not even every year. Occasionally, we see
Right.
that thing pop up. So it's like, no, we're the most like go home for the holidays.
Yeah.
We get it. I mean, don't go home on April 15th. I mean, April. Don't go home on December 15th and stay out till January 15th. That's a huge mistake.
Sure.
You're leaving a lot of money on the
Oh, yeah,
table.
a lot.
But yeah, no, it makes sense to go home when things slow down.
I had
And
a dispatcher call me one time, and she said, "I've got a really, really good." We were sitting in North Carolina, and she's like, "I got an offer going to California." She goes, "Do you mind eating turkey in California?" I said, "It tastes the same in California as it
That's
does in North
right.
Carolina."
That's
Yes,
right.
it
go.
does.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. We thank you so much for hanging out with us. We thank you for supporting our channel. As y'all been doing, if you're a current Hyfield driver, thank you so much for the work you're doing. We really do appreciate you and your co-driver, and we hope that you have a wonderful holiday season coming up. We hope that you have a great Thanksgiving, And until we meet again, no, that's a lie. Jerry, what are we forgetting?
Hit that subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up button if you would. Please. It helps us with the YouTube algorithm. And if you are interested in Hyfield and everything that we have to offer over here and the expediting industry, check us out at hyfieldtrucking.com and give us a call at 833-HYFIELD. One of our lovely ladies in recruiting would love to talk to you.
That'd be me.
We're going to have to change that up when we hire a guy to be in recruiting too.
We will have to change it up.
It's not going to be ladies anymore.
Yeah.
But
It could be people.
for
Lovely
the meantime, we happen to have ladies. It's
Yes.
not a. It's just it is what it is.
You can listen
Anyways.
to us
You know,
here on YouTube, or you could do it on your favorite podcast
Yeah, we
streaming.
are everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you're watching us on YouTube and you're like, it takes so much time to watch this and then drive, throw us on your favorite podcast app.
Yeah.
It'll sound the
Uh,
same.
Sounds the
Yeah,
same.
Sounds the same.
And if we do something where we're like, oh wow, I wish I knew what they were doing, because sometimes we show videos or not videos, photos or pictures,
Or we forget and we're describing stuff with our hands.
yes,
Mostly me.
look us up on YouTube. You can catch up on those things as well.
So listen to the podcast as you're driving.
Yeah.
Then whenever you want to see the pictures and everything we throw up, go back and
Watch
watch
the
the
video.
podcast.
Yes.
Watch the video.
Yep.
Yep.
And you
Good
can
stuff.
absolutely fast forward and find the spots. We're
No,
not
no,
monetized.
you
we don't.
can't. You
We're
have
not
to watch.
monetized. We don't care. No. But
While you're making that turkey, watch us on your YouTube
that's right.
in your truck or at home.
We do look good on an iPhone, I've been told. So, was it Dad always told me I had a face for radio?
Yes.
So, until
Same
next
here.
time, stay safe, make good decisions.
Don't leave holiday money on the table.
And keep those wheels a turning.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.